All right, guys, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sandra Holland. I am the Vice Chair of Raleigh Hurling GAA Club in Raleigh, North Carolina. Just wanted to mention that this is the first go at something like this, so thank you for bearing with us, and we thank you for your patience in advance. Before we get started, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our club. Raleigh Hurling was founded in 2012. We have about approximately 130 members. We offer Gaelic football, hurling, ladies football, and camogie. We were national football champions in 2014 and Southeast Division men's football champions in 2019. We've attended the World Games in Abu Dhabi in 2015 and in Waterford, Ireland in 2019. We established a youth GAA in 2019. We had a first couple of clinics last year, and we had 60 kids sign up for our first few clinics. A little bit about Eoin Murphy. He's from my hometown of Glenmore. I'm absolutely thrilled to have him here today. Eoin has won Senior Football Championship with our club Glenmore in 2009. He also won Junior Club Hurling Championship in 2016. Eoin with Kilkenny has 4 All-Ireland Hurling Championship medals. He also has 5 Leinster Hurling Championship medals. National Hurling League, he has 4, and he has 2 All-Stars so far, 2016 and 2018. Another few things I want to go over is meeting etiquette. Your mics will be muted during the presentation. We will enable messaging and hand raising for questions after Eoin has finished his presentation. We will moderate and unmute during the Q&A segment. We'll just ask you to raise your hand. We'll call out your name. You will unmute, tell us where you're from and what club you're representing. On that note, I just wanted to also mention that we have, Eoin will have some webinars available. So he'll be putting those into the message, and we will record those, and you will receive an email from us with additional webinars and any kind of training and skills tips. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Eoin. We'll be back a little later for the Q&A. Enjoy, folks. Thanks so much. Bye.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for having me. So, as Sandra mentioned, this is something that's quite new. Obviously, this is one of the first that we have done as well. So, look, I hope it goes off without any hiccups or anything like that as well. So, before I start as well, I've been talking to Sandra for the last number of weeks, organising this and going through some things as well. And she mentioned about some of the founding members of the club in Raleigh, and she wanted me to give a shout out to Steve Shannon and Enda Wiseman, and I think both are logged on as well. So without both of them, obviously there wouldn't be Raleigh in a Raleigh GAA GA club based in Charlotte. So it's very important for guys like that then as well to be involved in clubs, running clubs, and promoting the game of GA as well. So look, Steve and Enda, thanks very much for setting up GA club and I suppose spreading the gospel as well. So Sandra, I think we agreed I'm going to start off with some skills and some basic stuff then as well. So I think everybody is set and ready to go. Is that okay? A few thumbs up if that's all right.
That's grand, Eoin. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So I have some earphones in as well. So just so the noise is not going to be echoing in the background or anything like that as well. So also just going to shift the opposite side here, the chair and everything like that as well. Is that okay? So it's very important as well, obviously, with everybody situated at home, more than likely being situated at home and sitting down, be it from, if you're in school, if you're working from home or whatever it may be. So a lot of our time is spent sitting down. So trying to get in some activity throughout the day is very, very important. So, the likes of your stretching and things like that, everybody knows that you're loosening up your back and different things like that as well. So that's vitally important. So we're going to start out with Gaelic football. So if everybody has the football, you have all footballs as well. You can do it with the slitters as well if you want to. So football is a secondary sport to me as well. So anybody who comes from a football county, I apologise if my lack of skills is going to show up in this video here. So don't pay too much attention to those. Is that okay? So for any of the kids and the ladies here in the game then as well, or any of the girls, they can actually pick the football up off the ground. Okay, so I want to make sure that this is going to be quite clear here as well. But for any of the guys that are here, young and old, you're going to have to get your toe in underneath the football. Is that okay? So it's this action. So we're talking about putting our thumbs in a triangle motion, our thumbs and our index fingers, and you have to get your toe in underneath the ball, and you are just lifting it off the ground, and you're going to catch it into your hands. Is that okay? So into that type of an action. So that's simple enough. We're all familiar with that. I just want to be obviously aware if there's any starters or any newcomers here to Gaelic football or hurling or anything like that as well. So I just want to make sure that, and keeping it basic and going through all the basic skills. Is that fair enough? So the next thing that we have then as well is the hopping. So the soloing is very important. Once you have the ball, so the soloing is the bouncing. So your right hand, your left hand. Okay. So what we want everybody to be doing is moving around in your area. You're actually just practicing. You're going bouncing the ball. You're catching the ball. Is that okay? So you're getting used to that, moving with the ball, and you're bouncing it and you're catching it. So when you're playing Gaelic football, you can only take your 4 steps. So as you're moving, you have to bounce the ball out in front of you. You're obviously running in to wherever you're running in whatever direction you're going, bouncing the ball into that direction, and you're running on and catching it. Is that okay? So bouncing with your left hand and with your right hand. So that's something that's quite simple. You can practice it outside on your own. You can practice that off a wall. If you have access to a wall outside, that's even better then as well. Is that okay? So the next one that we're going to do is the foot solo. Okay, so you can only do one hop, so one bounce of the ball. Okay, and you have to do a foot solo after that. All right. So again, excuse my lack of skills here, as it is a secondary sport. Is that fair enough? So with my right foot, you're dropping the ball onto your toe and you're flicking it back up into your hands. Is that okay? So again, just dropping it off your hand onto your toe. Similar with your left foot, dropping it out of your left hand onto your left foot. So it doesn't make a difference if you're left or right. You can practice either of those at home. Is that okay? And then we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to be moving around. Right foot, left foot. My left foot is an awful lot weaker, so it's not coming up just as cleanly. Is that okay? So you can be doing that in the kitchen. I can see some of the girls doing it in the living room as well. That's great. So that's exactly what you're doing. You can be running around outside doing exactly that as well. Is that okay? So the next thing what we're going to do is the fist pass. So obviously, part of football, you can pass it either by your fist or you can kick pass it. Unfortunately, I don't have the space here. It's pitch dark outside as well. It's 8:15. It's 8:15 here. So it's dark. I don't have access to lights or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some fist passing. Is that okay? So again, I want to set it up here to make sure that you're seeing it. So the fist pass motion is you're going to hold the ball into your palm of your opposite hand. So I'm right-handed. I predominantly will fist with my right hand. So you're making connection. You can make connection anywhere with your fist. I suppose the easiest way is between the thumb and the index finger or across the palm of the fist. Is that okay? So what we're going to do is if you have a sibling, you're going to fist pass it to them. So make sure they're standing about 5 paces away. Is that okay? So you're going to fist pass it. I'm going to fist pass mine off the wall, so don't mind the banging or anything like that. We're going to fist pass it and make sure that it's going to come back into their chest. Is that okay? Fist pass. Similar enough with the left hand. My left hand is my bad one, so excuse the bad direction. Is that okay? Great stuff. Seeing a good few people on the videos doing it as well. That's great. Perfect. Okay. So what we can do at home, and to make that a little bit harder on ourselves as well, and especially for the kids, okay, is once we're used to actually fist passing it, so obviously we can do it off a wall, first of all, doing it to a sibling. Either or is absolutely perfect. So if you're an only child, obviously off a wall, get out with your parents, try and meet up with one of your friends when it is safe to do so. Is that okay? So as we said, it's the fist pass, left and right. So you should be getting used to both sides. There shouldn't be a weak side. Is that okay? So after that, what is the next thing coming up then is, and you can practice this at home a little bit more as well, is you can do this off the wall and with your siblings. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. Is that okay? So we're going to go up on our left leg first of all with the fist pass. And these can all be incorporated into drills and training as well. So we're improving balance and also hand-eye coordination. So especially for the kids and for anybody coaching underage, that's very, very important. Is that okay? So I'm going to swap over onto my right leg, still continuing fist passing. Is that okay? Quite simple. So when I go on my left leg, left hand, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. It's my weaker side. Not as easy. So I want to make sure that I'm staying balanced. Swapping over into my right. Great stuff. Good stuff. Seeing everybody practicing that there. Good stuff. See the kids in Richard Finnegan's there in the garage. Great stuff. So the next thing what we're going to do is you can incorporate that, everything that we've just done there. Is that okay together? So you're outside, you're moving around. You can do your foot pass or your foot solo. You can do your bounce solo, and you should be swapping sides. So you're going left foot, bouncing left hand, right foot, bouncing right hand. And what you should be doing is incorporating in different movements then as well, moving different directions. You can start to approach the wall. You can do your fist pass off the wall. You can do your kick pass off the wall then as well if you're on your own. So you can practice on your own. It's not an excuse that if you don't have anyone to do it with, all you need is a wall. That's all. And obviously the equipment you need then is a ball, a hurl, a slitter, different things. They're all you need. So you don't need anything elaborate at all. Is that okay? So again, I see a couple of people participating what seems to be in their office as well. So it's quite simple. You can move around doing those, and it's just keeping your eye in, because that's all anybody can do at the moment. There is no training taking place anywhere at all. Is that okay? So what I'm going to do now is move on to some hurling drills. So if anybody has their sticks, their hurls, slitters, that's great as well. Okay. So I want to make sure that you can see this and there's no shine or anything like that as well. Is that fair enough? So and something that we would have been taught from a young age, and I think is quite important as well if you don't come from a hurling background, is you have to get a hurl that suits each player. So the hurl that I use might not suit anybody else on this team's call. So a particular hurl will suit a particular type of a person. Me, myself, I actually like a lighter hurl, okay? I don't like something that's too heavy and that you have to swing. So bear in mind, you're swinging from your wrists every time. So you don't want something that's heavy, okay? So when we're in a game scenario, it's crowded, when you need to get that strike away, the quicker you do that, obviously, the better. So the lighter hurl, I find, is easier to manage that, okay? And it all comes from the wrists. So especially for anybody coaching underage, if you give them a heavy hurl, what actually happens is they start to swing from their shoulders or from their elbows. So it's actually very, very important that they realize that the swing in action is coming from the wrist, okay? So if anybody has a grip on the hurl, I have my right hand, which is predominantly my strong hand, just nearly one fist actually from the top of the hurl. So normally my grips are nearly 3 fists in length. Is that okay? So I would very rarely catch it at the top. We would refer to as choking the hurl, okay? So if I'm on the goal pucking the ball, it's only then will I actually catch it at the top. So I can puck it further. But also there's nobody tackling me. I can't get blocks, can't get hooked. So I've that little bit more time. So when I'm out the field, I'll always catch it short. Okay? It's easier to manage. It's easier to control the stick. It's easier to control the slitter, the ball. Is that okay? So the second hand comes just in underneath that. So comes right in underneath your thumb. Is that okay? So I want to bear in mind that you can see this as well. So an action that you should get the kids to train is this action. So that's all from the wrist. Is that okay? So it's that wrist motion moving the hurl. So if you can imagine that there is a ball, we'll say here, yeah, you can see me. So if there's a ball there, I want to hit that with obviously the butt of the hurl, the end of the hurl down here, but I want to do that with my wrists. Is that okay? So it's that flicking action. Okay, so it's very important that when you are coaching kids, the first thing, you have to get a hurl that suits them. So it's light, okay? It's not too heavy. You want something that they swing, okay? But then the next thing then after that, and I forgot to mention, apologies, is that it's actually not too big, okay? I don't know if you can see that. So this is my hip bone here, okay? And the hurl is a fair few inches shorter. I'm not so sure, 4 or 5 inches shorter. So if I'm standing up straight, the hurl is touching the ground there. If you have a long hurl, again, the kids will get caught up. It'll start to hit their shoulders. It'll start to get caught in their jerseys, their jumpers, and everything as well. So you want to make sure that it's suitable for them. So it's the right length and also the right weight, okay? So if you can imagine then that we have a slitter on the ground here. Sorry, again, I want to just make sure that you can see this. So if you can imagine the slitter is on the ground here, I want to bear in mind I don't break down our office here as well. So when I'm swinging, it's that wrist action again, okay? So I'll just show you, I'll raise it here. So as I'm swinging, I'm not moving my back, I'm not moving my hips. It's that, apologies, I'm going to bang something. So it's that wrist action. So everything should come from the wrists. And again, it's only when you're going striking the ball further, should you actually be using your shoulders just to gain some momentum. But that width always has to come from the wrists. Is that okay? So I hope that helps anyone involved in underage setups and involved in underage coaching as well. Okay. So the next thing after that then is the basics of hurling. Okay. I will get to it a bit more when I'm going through some things about myself, and in a slide presentations, I want to show you some clips and videos and different things like that as well. Is that okay? So the next thing that we have is the ground strike. Okay. So I mentioned it there. I'm right hand. So when you are coaching kids, what you will do is you'll have the slitter right in between their legs. Their feet are going to be shoulder width apart, and their shoulders, okay? So if you can imagine that the next player is directly up here. So your shoulders want to be in line where you want the ball to go, okay? So ball is here. I'm going to get up, and I will need to be ground striking the direction the ball is going. Is that okay? So it's the ground strike on the right side. It's the exact same on the left side. It's just coming from the opposite direction. So it's the same width in the wrists. Okay? So everything comes from the wrists. Okay? I know I don't have any space to be striking any balls. I see some people participating outside. That's absolutely perfect. Great stuff. Well done. So the next thing that we have then is the row lift. Okay, so that's the ground strike. In order to get to a strike out of the hand, you obviously have to get the ball up into the hand. So there's a couple of ways of obviously doing that. Somebody passes to you, you catch it out of the air. But if the ball is on the ground, you're going to have to get it up into your hand. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down here. and we'll try make it a little bit closer. So again, for anyone who's coaching kids underage, it's very good to actually get them starting out doing it in my action here. So you have one knee, you have one leg out, and what they're doing, the ball is going to be between their knee and heel. Is that okay? So they're down on their knee, and it just makes it easier for them to control their body then as well, particularly at a young age. Okay. So once they're crouched down over the ball, again, I have the short grip. Is that okay? The hurl is easier to manage. So once it's long out here, it could be quite cumbersome. Okay. So you're crouching down over the ball. Their thumb is going to be down just at the bush. All right. And what you need to do is you're going to do a moving motion over the ball. So you're going to roll it back towards yourself. And as soon as the hurl slips over the other side of the ball, you will jab back in underneath it. Okay. So again, just to tell you that, show you from the angle. So once your hurl rolls over the ball, you're going to jab up in underneath it. Okay. And same for anybody who is left-handed, it's the exact same. So hand is caught short, or hurl is caught short. Slitter's in the exact same place, except my right foot is out front. And it's that rolling motion. So you're rolling the hurl over the ball. Once it rolls over the other side of it, it'll jab up onto the bush and you'll make it fall into your hand. Is that okay? The next one, and is easier for when we're on the move, is the jab lift. Okay, so obviously when we can progress on, if they're comfortable with that in a kneeling prone motion, you'll have them standing over the ball. So the exact same thing, but they have to bend from the knees then as well. Is that okay? So there's no point them standing up straight, trying to get down. They just won't be able to control it. So they need to come in over the ball, bend over with the knees. So you need to get down close to it just for the control. Is that okay? The next one, what we have is the jab lift. Okay, so again, the jab lift is a little bit easier in game scenarios because it's quicker for you to get the ball up into the hand and it's quicker for you then to start moving away with the ball. Okay, so the same thing for the jab lift. For anyone coaching underage, it's important that you teach them the proper techniques. Again, down on the one knee, it's easier to show them the proper techniques. So it's jabbing, but you need to scoop the ball back towards yourself. Okay, so again, my strong hand is on the grip. My catching hand is my left hand. As soon as I'm jabbing up, my left hand comes off the hurl, catches the ball. So you're rotating the hurl back into the palm of your hand. Okay, so again, I'll try break it down. If I do it too slow, the ball is not going to come up. So bear with me. So you're jabbing and you're tilting the hurl. Okay, so a little bit quicker, jabbing, tilting the hurl. Okay, and also it's very important for the kids when they are being coached that it's being taught to be done with two hands. Is that okay? Because doing it with one hand, you just won't be strong enough as you know, an underage. When you get them to the GAA pitches, the parks at 6, 8, 10, they won't be strong enough to manage to control a hurl with one hand. So it's very important this is all done with two hands. Is that okay? So next, what we have is the hand pass. Okay, so this can be done again similar enough with the footballs. Okay, so obviously we have one hand on the hurl, and our hand on the hurl is always on the grip. So it's a ready action. So if you have it, you're all alone, you can actually go strike the ball. Is that okay? So if we have it down here, where it's in the lazy grip, where you might have that when you're running, but as soon as you're going to collect the ball, it needs to go back onto the grip. Is that okay? So you're actually ready to go. You're ready to go strike that ball. All right. So with the hand pass, again, I want to make sure that the lighting is correct. So with the hand pass, it's the throwing action. So you're going to pop it up to yourself. It's a little pop. So after you pop it, you're palming it. So again, we want to make sure that it's hitting the palm of the hand here, and you're going to pass it away. Is that okay? So if you have a sibling there, absolutely perfect. If you have a wall, you can do exactly that. So with the wall, you just need to be ready with your reactions that it's going to come back to you. So I'm going to try that with my left hand. Is that okay? Because I'm predominantly right, hold the hurl on my right. So I'm going to hand pass it off the wall. Hand pass it off the wall. I'm going to show you this action here. It's showing popping it up and palming it. And you want to make sure that that comes to their chest then as well. Is that okay? So it's no different with if you're predominantly left-handed and that's on the hurl, it's hand pass off the wall again. It's hand pass, same from this side here. So that doesn't change. So all of these can be practiced at home on your own. You don't need anyone. It's hurley stick, the slitter, a tennis ball, any type of a ball at all. If you have an open space, unfortunately, you're going to have to hand pass it and run after it. You'll be improving your fitness then as well. That's absolutely perfect. So that's the hand passing. And then it's the striking then is the next thing. So the striking is the exact same as we mentioned about the ground strike. So your shoulders, okay, sorry, bear in mind, just the lighting. So your shoulders need to be pointing where you want the ball to go, especially when you're teaching underage, you'll have to teach them this. So they will be throwing the ball here, okay, so I'm right-handed, okay, again, shorter grip is easy for them to manage the hurl. So as they're dropping the ball here, they want to be striking at hip height. So this is my hip height here. They're going to drop the ball there, throw the ball up here. So as soon as they're throwing the ball, that striking action should take place here. So too high, they're going to be hitting the ball down to the ground. It's not going to travel far enough. If I'm going to be shooting it up here, it's going to be slow. The ball will go up in the air. It's not going to go that far either. So that striking action, you need to go straight through the ball. You want to use the momentum of the ball coming down, your momentum of your rotation, and then the wrists to strike it that direction. So again, the shoulders are all pointing that way, that striking action. Again, all coming from the wrist. Is that okay? So they are some of the basics that we teach kids in underage setups in Glenmore from 6s, 8s, 10s to make sure they're getting those absolutely perfect. You're teaching them something at training. You're allowing them to practice that at home as well. It doesn't need to be too elaborate. It's no different for adults GAA games then either. So you want to do a skill at training that will allow them to practice that at home. Okay, so the striking action, the catching action then as well. You can progress that as much as you want. You can throw it up in the air. You can jump into it. If you're not used to catching the ball, you're just standing in underneath it. So again, I'm just on my knees here to make sure that it's coming. So if you're not used to it, you're standing there. So again, once you can progress that on, you can throw it off the wall, you can strike it off the wall to make it come back harder. So it's just about making things that little bit harder on yourself to keep practicing the basic skills. There's nothing special about the whole thing as to why we'll say maybe Kilkenny, Limerick, Tipperary, whoever are at the top of their game in hurling. So right through from the underage right up to adult level, senior. It's because they're practicing the basics. They're able to do the basics that little bit quicker. And because they're able to do it that little bit quicker, it allows them to get out of harder scenarios in matches, in trainings, in things like that as well. So I think that's all. I've given a brief run through of everything I know. I know the knowledge of football wouldn't be as high on my list as some other things. So I apologize about that as well. Bear with me here now as well. So again, I have a number of videos as well. I'm just going to share my screen here, and I have a little bit of a presentation then as well, just to, I want to, I suppose, get you do you know who I am then as well? Because obviously at the end we're going to have some questions. We're going to have different things that if you have anything at all that you can ask me. So just a small few things about myself and my connection then to Rally GAA. Obviously I'm wearing the jersey here as well. I know Sandra had it delivered. So Sandra Holland, we still know her as Feeling. So Sandra Feeling. So Glenn, apologies about that. We still don't give her the marriage name, to be very honest. So so Sandra played camogie with my mum and my sister. So my mum played right through till she was ancient. I'm not too sure of the age, but she had 4 kids at that stage. So she played with Sandra. Helen played with him. And again, the camogie club is no different to the GAA club. Everybody knows each other. There's a huge connection there between everyone. So for myself, I played hurling with Sandra's brothers, John, Michael, Mark, and our nephew Stephen. So again, there's a huge family connection there. And this is obviously better times after we won a trophy there. That's Alan, my brother. Patrick, my other brother. That's Michael, which is Sandra's brother. That's Shane, who was a little bit inebriated then as well. He's a younger brother of mine, myself, and that's Mark, Sandra's other brother, who's essentially, Mark and Michael are essentially brothers to us. We grew up in the same area, less than a couple of 100 yards down the road from each other. And from as long as I can remember, we would have been playing games together. So, and I know it's quite cliched, but my earliest memories would be actually around playing hurling. So I actually picked up a hurl before I could walk. And I definitely think that is the case. My mum and dad, their connection to the club, my mum is chairperson for the camogie club in Glenmore. My dad was chairman for the hurling club up till a couple of years ago. He fixes the hurls in the club. My uncle makes the hurls, which my brother James has taken over that business now as Tom is retiring. So there's just huge connection there. And I suppose the reason why we have a huge connection with it is probably our love for the game and love for the club, and where we come from, we take great pride in it as well. So I started competitively with Glenmore age 6. I would have been playing hurling in school much younger than that, from 4, at home in the garden, being bullied by my older siblings, I can imagine, as well, in the garden. That definitely did happen. But every one of us loved it. We were playing constantly outside. So as soon as it got bright to as soon as it got dark at night, where and a couple of years we actually had a spotlight out the back of our house on the gable end into our garden that allowed us to hurl a small bit longer after sunset as well. So we enjoyed that. I started playing competitively with Kilkenny from age 17 on. So there's from till I got to the point at where I was actually chosen, or even being looked at as being good enough to play with Kilkenny, there was at least, at the very, very least, 11 years of development with my club. And that's the reason why you get to play with Kilkenny. It's because of the people who you surround yourself with in your club, the coaches that you have, the people that you look up to, that you admire. And all my heroes, anyone who I looked up to, all came from Glenmore. So my favourite hurler was Willie O'Connor, Mark Phelan then as well. I remember Sandra's brother Mark was on the Kilkenny team in 2005 and 2006, and I remember I used to rush home from school and throw my dinner into a lunchbox, and if I didn't have enough time to eat it, I used to throw it into a lunchbox and go meet Mark, who was training with Kilkenny and playing with Kilkenny at that time, just so I could go up and watch their training sessions, to soak in as much information as I could, and what skills I needed to learn to get to that stage then as well. So this is a photo of us when we won, I think it was an under 12s or an under 11s competition in Nolan Park, which is Kilkenny's home ground. So I'll give you a couple of seconds. I wonder, can any of you pick me out there? And so I didn't play in goal that day. I think I played corner forward. So I'm actually the really small one at the back. So from as soon as I was eligible to be playing and togging out with my club, I was never the biggest, not at all. and certainly nowhere near that either. I was definitely one of the smallest every time. So it doesn't make a difference, I suppose, what age, or sorry, what size, or, in terms of, how big you are with muscles or whatever, or your height. So it doesn't make a difference. And certainly if you feel that you're on, if you're a little bit smaller, you have to be practicing those skills. It's those skills will get you out of tougher situations in games. So it's not all about being the fastest. It's not all about being, that you can run the longest. They'll certainly help, absolutely. But, from my point of view, and even now when I'm involved in Kilkenny, I'm definitely not one of the biggest on the teams, on any of the teams that I've talked out on. But I always felt that my skills, and from that age, from 6 to 17 till I actually got chosen to play for a Kilkenny team, I practiced every single day, all those basics. When I was 6 years of age, the things that I was showing you there, we would have been taught in our own GAA club by the coaches, by our school teachers, my mum, my dad, my older siblings, Sandra's brothers. They were always up in our house, we were down there. So they were always teaching you the basics. And those basics will get you to a better level. It's just you have to progress those on. And, as I mentioned, practice every single day. So playing with Glenmore, I played my first adult game at 16. I have 5 siblings. I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. Helen is the toughest of all of us by far. But my brothers that I played with, Patrick, James, Alan and Shane, within the last couple of years. And that's something that, extremely proud of. And, I'm quite lucky to represent my club, my family, friends and everyone at an inter-county level and to play with Kilkenny. But I think my favorite accolades and the ones that mean the most to me are, playing with the 4 of those on an adult team in Glenmore, and as I mentioned, it's the neighbours, friends and schoolmates. And, Glenmore is quite a small parish, and I was laughing at the very start when Sandra mentions it's a town. It's far from a town. It's a rural area, but everybody knows each other, and the whole thing revolves around the GAA club. So it's an important aspect of life as well. So we do have a football county medal as well in 2009, a senior one. I played corner back. Probably I was playing corner back because I didn't have too much skills, as you've seen from my demos at the very start as well. And the medals that mean the most to me, we won a junior county medal. I think Sandra had it. We won the All-Ireland in 2016, but we won the club junior county and junior Leinster titles in 2015. So normally when you win your county at a division, so be it junior, you progress on to your provincial level, which is Leinster. And then obviously if you win that, you'll go on to represent your county and province then in the All-Ireland series. So we won junior county, Leinster and All-Ireland medals. And they are by far my most coveted medals. So my Kilkenny career, minor, which is under 18 in 2007 and 2008. I was under 21 in 2019, 10 and 2011. And luckily, and again, I think I was quite proud because I was representing my club. I got the captain of the Kilkenny under 21 team in 2011. We unfortunately got knocked out in the first round, so it's not something that I don't mention too often. But also, I played intermediate in 2010 and 11, and in 2010 I actually played intermediate with Mark. So for most of my adult life, I've been playing with Mark and with Michael, Sandra's brothers, my own brothers, and that's why the club means so much. And I'm quite proud of the position I'm in with Kilkenny. But at the end of the day, I would be nowhere without the club, and this is all back to the importance of Rally GAA. So I've been representing the county from 2011 to the current day, and hopefully I won't be returned anytime soon, or that Cody won't be dropping me anytime soon. So from some of the skills that maybe were on show at the start, he could be giving me a call. So just one quick thing at the very end, and people obviously, it's a common question. They always want to know what's the difference between club and county. The skills, the type of trainings and stuff like that, there's very, very little difference. You might do it at a quicker pace for inter-county level, but it's the exact same concept. And it's just some of the things that, you have to look after, so you're actually able to do those training sessions and you're able to survive those training sessions. And a couple of things that we get plans for is your diet, your recovery, you're doing your foam rolling, you're stretching, you're making sure that you're hydrated then as well, your prehab work. So if there is any niggles or small bit injuries or weaknesses in your body, you'll get programs to correct those. And maybe the preparation then as well. So you do a bit more analysis on other teams as well. So they're the only differences really. But the whole concept around we play it because we love the game. You're training the whole time. That's no different as well. So some things then as well I wanted to show are here as well and are quite important. And it just, if some of you want to make notes, and all of these webinars then as well, I will actually forward these on in an email to Sandra, and Sandra will forward them on to everybody who's logged into this Teams call as well. So last year, Martin Fogarty, who's the National Hurling Development Officer in the GAA, so Mert, as we call him, has been doing huge work to promote hurling in particular up the north of Ireland. Okay, so he gives a breakdown on what coaches and managing the team, what they need to be doing in terms of planning and prepping for the sessions, and any of the players that are here as well and that are interested in progressing. It's brilliant for them to have a look at these and for them to get ideas and to be thinking about things as well and what they can actually bring to training sessions, because it's a group thing then as well about driving the whole club forward. If they want to get involved in coaching with the underage setups, all around the basics, and then once they have the basics, about progressing those on. Is that okay? So I'm going to send those on to Sandra, but there's just a couple of those. There's a couple of points in the videos as well that I feel are quite important. And, these are the Magnificent Seven, and Martin and a couple of other coaches in the GAA come up with these, and it's the 7 skills, the essential skills that are, part of the overall setup in hurling. Is that okay? So again, these are no different, to what we're teaching at under 6s, under 8s in my own club, right up to what Brian Cody, our management team, are trying to coach and trying to teach us as well. Is that okay? So I'm just going to skip forward to a part in this as well. Another thing I want you to take note of, and again, I would recommend for anybody who's interested in the game and, as I said, get better, just to have a look through these. Some of them are quite long, but and there's different conversations to different coaches, different players are involved in these webinars as well. So it's very, very interesting. So if you're planning a session then as well, whether it's one night a week, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, it's for the whole season. So you have to plan that session, that there is something at the end of it that you're going to achieve. There has to be a goal there. So as you can see just on the right here, planning makes sense. It's your various striking. So that's long, short. So obviously it would be the short striking if some players are, not used to striking long. So what they need to do is to get better at striking short. Is that fair enough? So again, that's just some ideas there around planning the session. Is that okay? So the next point I want to show you then here is, again, just some possible detail that you can actually plan around it. Is that okay? The striking, the handling, so that can be ranging from hand passing to catching ball out of the air, your rise, the jab and the roll, the hand pass, all this. That's all the basics. Again, that should be all part of a training session. Okay, so the standard session then. So the next one, what I have out of this here, and I think is quite important again for anybody. Okay, so it's bringing all these essential skills to the game. So the drills, the skills in the game. The game is obviously the most important part, but that's the result of everything that happens before that. Okay, so you need to get the skills to play the game. All right, and you need to have proper drills to develop those skills. Okay, and then
I'm sorry there.
Sorry
there, we can just still see your PowerPoint. Can you I don't know what you're showing there, but just all we see is.
Sorry,
yeah.
Apologies. Actually, yeah.
Go ahead there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and you can see that there now, Sandra.
Yes, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, thank you, Eoin.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Apologies about that. Yeah, so as I mentioned, just about the essentials, I'll quickly just skim back over it. Is that okay? Just very quickly. So there are the essentials. Is that okay that I mentioned? The planning then as well is this point here. Just always plan for your session. Don't turn up and think that you're going to think of something to do that night for the players. Is that okay? And even for the players who lead the training sessions then as well, just have a bit of planning around that. Is that okay? The next one then is the standard session, so you can break it up. Is that okay? So skill development and then games then as well. So you're bringing all the skills that you have into game scenarios. Okay, and the next one then is okay. So I mentioned here to play the game is obviously what everybody wants to do, but you need to have the skills to play the game, and you need to have drills to develop those skills. Is that all right? So the next, just a couple of things I want you to have a look at then as well is the nursery hurling. Is that okay? So just again, with the younger players that are involved and to get them interested and get them obviously, wanting to play the game. So, you have to have a proper learning environment. Is that okay? So don't be overcomplicating things for kids. You want to have a rich environment and lots of opportunity to play and practice. So that's from whatever type of ability. Is that okay? The next one, what I have a couple of notes on here is just some of the layouts that you can actually do. So for the teams that have large numbers, is that okay? These are some of the things that you can integrate into a session for the younger kids. Again, to keep them interacted in the whole training session, keep them interested in as well. That's very, very important. Is that okay? So the last thing then that we have is the skills test. So this is for anybody here. You can take a picture of this. Again, I'll be sending on all these videos to you. Okay, so what you can do is see how far you're progressing on. So each of the skills here that I mentioned. So it's the ground strike right side, ground strike left side, striking from the hand left and right, accuracy, the hand pass, standing, on the run, moving. So you're incorporating all the skills that I mentioned at the start, hurling and football. And then the next one then as well, and any coaches that you go to and anybody you go talk to, they'll talk about the fitness aspect around the game. Is that okay? So it's important to keep the players interested and just running, doing sprints and sit-ups and squats and different things like that in training. And this will obviously be more applicable to adult players, to adult coaches and the players. But what you need is to keep them interested, keep them engaged, but then also practicing, the skills while you're doing your fitness games on top of that then as well. So actually playing small-sided games. If you have 20 players there, you want to split them up into 4 or 5. So it's, a team of 5 will play a possession game for argument's sake against another team of 5, rotating that. Again, they're getting the skills, but you keep those games going for 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. And what you're looking for is everybody to have an involvement in that then as well. So just some basic stuff there. Hope that helps. Just gives an idea of around me and I suppose the whole idea of playing and coaching GAA. Sandra, do you want to take it back?
Okay, Eoin, thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. I just wanted to mention that we're going to start the Q&A now, if you're okay with that, Eoin. And what we will do is we see a few people have raised their hands already. So we'll just call out your name, just tell us where you're from, and then unmute yourself and go ahead, and then we'll go from there, okay? So who do we have there?
The first one is Barry Daly.
Barry Daly, you there?
Yes, I am, Sandra. Hi, Eoin. Thank you very much for giving us your time. I really appreciate that. I'm from Raleigh GAA, but I see Glenmore is wearing the right colours anyway. The green and gold is the best colours to wear. My question for you is, how do you balance club and county? I presume when you spend so much time at the county, you start to lose connection with your club.
Yeah, that's a great question to start off with. Yeah, it is difficult, to be honest, Barry. It is. I'm not going to lie and say that you can manage both. You know, I suppose the way that the seasons were split last year, obviously you had your club season was first. It was, you know, I absolutely loved that because we got down, we were with the club, you know, full time, I suppose. You know, normally you try to make it maybe once or twice a week, and again, that can even be difficult if you're during your championship playing season. It is very difficult because, you know, as I mentioned on some of the things, you have your, you know, maybe your rehab programs, your recovery sessions, you might have some analysis sessions, video sessions and all that. So that's all incorporated into sort of leading into your game week. So around championship time, it's very difficult, yeah. You know, but you do feel it, you notice it. Like obviously you would love to be more involved, but you know, unfortunately that's just the way the inter-county game has gone. And I think the way that this season could potentially go, and the way it's planned in the GAA calendar as well, you know, and for what they have sort of scheduled at the moment, is that the inter-county season is going to take place at the start, and then the club season will get a fair, you know, run at the calendar at the end of it as well. And that'll be great because as soon as the club players are doing their pre-season work, we'll be sort of finishing up our season, depending on how far we get in it. But you know, it's a difficult one to try juggle both, to be honest.
Okay, Lisa Vahi, you have a question there. Unmute yourself.
Thanks, Sandra. Hi, Eoin. I'm with Raleigh GAA as well, and I just wanted to know, especially in Ireland, you've had so many lockdowns. How are you staying motivated with nutrition, fitness, all of that?
Great question, Lisa. The fact that I have a much better half then as well, my motivation is it's easy to find it from someplace then as well. So Grania is she likes to go by the clock, so, and she loves to have a schedule about her day. So that means getting up early, going for the walk, and we might grab a coffee on the way home if it's suitable, if they're open then as well. So, you know, even when we were working from home during the first lockdown, you know, if it was myself, I would have been rolling out of the bed, to be very honest. But you know, for her to put that proper structure on me, just, yeah, it was a huge benefit, you know, and how I was even feeling about the day then as well. So, you know, getting out, going for the walk and staying active, and, you know, that little bit of a pucking that you're doing, you know, even outside off the wall. And it's just, I suppose, it's the idea of when things do open back up, you know, you want to make sure that you're performing at, you know, I suppose a reasonably high level, that you haven't lost too much fitness, you haven't, you know, piled on the pounds for argument's sake. So like all that diet and, you know, I suppose, you know, hydrating yourself and making sure that you're okay going into trainings and things like that. I think that's second nature to a lot of people who are active and involved in fitness and sport, because it's so well documented now. You know, but yeah, the motivation thing is it's because I love playing hurling, you know, be it for Glenmore or Kilkenny, and you know, the trainings, you know, the volume of training would not change at all whether I was playing with Kilkenny or whether I was playing with Glenmore. You still train your 3 nights a week, you'd still go to your gym, do your own gym sessions once or twice a week, whatever it is, and you know, you still go for your swim when you can, and different things. But yes, it's just the idea. It's the love for the game, and you know, it's practicing the basic stuff. And really now the weather is starting to get a little bit milder here. It's still been lashing raining for the last week or so, but it's a little bit milder now, so it's easier to get outside and puck off the wall, and from that point of view. But yeah, it's just genuinely, you know, love playing the game and love being involved in any sort of a team.
It doesn't say her last name.
That's great, Eoin. You'll be glad to know that it's been lashing here in North Carolina as well for the last 10 days. I think today's a beautiful day, but that's it. We have Stacey Peterson up next with her question. Stacey.
Hello, can we hear me?
We can, Stacey. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being here, Owen. So I'm from the Twin Cities, Robert Emmetson, Minnesota, representing our Camogie side, obviously. I'm super envious of the family in the garage. It looks so warm. We haven't seen grass in 2 months. It's all under snow. So thanks for the mention of rain. That sounds great too. But anyway, here in the States, especially in cities like ours where we have smaller expat populations, our GAA clubs are primarily made up of players who have picked up the game as adults. So in my club, for example, most of our players are at least in their mid-20s before they start playing. So that means that we kind of end up having a lot of players who end up needing to find ways to extend our competitive playing careers beyond maybe where their natural expiration date might be, just to have the time to develop the basic skills enough to get to a point where we can have a meaningful competitive experience. So with that in mind, I'm curious about how you yourself have maybe changed your training and recovery as you've gotten older, or what you see from other players who are later in their playing careers, and maybe how they train differently or take care of themselves differently to keep them playing as long as possible.
Yeah, it has changed hugely. So when I first came in to the Kilkenny set up in 2011, so your strength and conditioning was sort of really only taken off at that stage, and the proper structures around individual programs and what you're actually putting into your body then as well is what you'll actually get out of a proper training session. So from earlier on in my inter-county career, I suppose I was exposed to that. So, the changing with the times, I didn't mind. So, the type of training methods that we're doing now at the moment it's not based around what weight you can lift or how many reps you can lift. It's all based around the amount of reps you can do at a certain speed, because you need to, that speed that you're lifting the bar with the weight, for argument's sake, you want that to convert that onto the field. So how quick you can move, how quick I need to jump from one side of the goal to the next to save a ball, for argument's sake. So it's all based around the particular movements that you'll actually use in a game scenario or training scenario. And it's just, I suppose, to get the best out of yourself. So it hasn't changed, it has evolved. And from my own point of view, I found that the last year or two, where, some might say you're probably coming out of your peak years or whatever, I found physically that I've been in better shape in the last couple of years than I have been in my early 20s. And maybe it's because I know what works for my body. I'm not so sure. Or maybe it's because I've just built up a certain amount of knowledge base there now that I'm using nuggets, of small little bit of nuggets of one larger study, and I find that it works really well for me, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use a little bit of something else. And but I just think the biggest thing that where the GAA has certainly progressed is the rehab work that you do after training, your recovery, how you base that. And there's no point us training on a Wednesday. So normally we train on a Tuesday. We'll have a gym session on a Wednesday, say, for argument's sake. And on a Thursday, normally that's off. Now I know I'm going to have to go and I'm going to foam roll a small bit. And, if I'm not feeling okay, I'm going to go get a rub out off a masseuse, a physio who's involved with the team, or, go for a swim. So I'll still be doing something that even, in order for me to be ready to go for training on the Friday. So that's the big thing. What you're actually doing outside of training has evolved massively. And I know with professional sports, and I'm a big follower of American football, and you'd watch some of the videos back years ago, the type of gym trainings, and scientifically they were so far ahead of the game. But I just think in the last couple of years the GAA has only started coming around to that, the idea of the sports science and how it actually benefits athletes, because you need to have a good athlete to play the game. And you can have somebody who's very, very skillful, absolutely, but the way the speed of the game has gone at inter-county level, if you're not a good athlete, unfortunately you're not going to get a game. And that's the way it is. So your diet, everything, as I mentioned in the last slide, they're the little things that will, I suppose, give you a benefit overall, really.
That's great, Owen. Thank you. I hope you have time for another few questions. Do you? You okay?
Absolutely,
with that?
Yeah. No hassle, work away.
So we'll move on to Johnny Dawson. Johnny, you there?
Yeah. How's it going, Owen?
Hey,
Thanks very much for taking the time out. My name is Johnny. I'm from Wicklow, the home of football and hurling in Ireland, but I'm living in Raleigh at the moment. Missing it terrible. My question, I suppose, congratulations on all of your achievements, man. You've been knocking around for 10 years there now. I suppose it's in relation to Brian Cody. How does he keep the motivation going? How does he keep you guys going? What spurs him on year after year? How does he change it up, and keep the whole thing alive? I'm just fascinated with his ambitious and mentality,
I'm shifting uneasy here, Johnny. So I am answering that. I want to make sure I answer that right. No, listen, great question. To be fair to Brian, and I think if anybody followed his career from as soon as he started playing with James Stephens as a club here in the city, very successful. And they had a core players at that time, late 70s into 80s, before my time as well. And they were just extremely competitive. Every one of them were winners. They wanted to win, and and I think that's where he got his drive from it, to be honest. And then obviously leading that into, before he came coaching, there was a lot of barren years for Kilkenny in the mid-noughties, and sort of late noughties then as well. They were sort of seen as underachievers, lost in All-Ireland in 98, 99. And at that time, and look, we don't look into media stuff, but, because he was from the outside, looking in as a spectator before he was manager, I'm sure he would have been conversing in that, maybe are these guys good enough, or, or what's wrong? Did he have a bit of a backbone? And I think, a bit of steelness about him, or whatever you want to refer to it as. And I think, any team that has played in under Brian Cody since then, it's, we have a desire to win, and that all comes from him. And I think how he played his club game, how he played his inter-county career, and it is infectious, to be very honest. And he is a great motivator. And it's funny because I suppose there is this perception that he's this maybe and again I don't want to say anything, I suppose, out of place, but that he's not very warm-hearted or whatever. But I can tell you from dealing with him for 10 years, if I ever had an issue outside of training or anything at all, and if anybody needed any time off for anything, no, absolutely anything, and especially when I was in college and different things, I would have been in Dublin my first year on the panel, and he was always want to make sure that you're up to date in your college work and you're looking after that side of things, and that you weren't under pressure, and if you ever were, skip off training, just let us know, and different things like that. So he is a genuine person behind it all, and because of that then as well, you do want to win for him, obviously, because he does care for you as a person outside of the hurling field. But obviously, he's great drive about him. So that sort of comes down to us, and he has evolved his coaching setup over the last couple of years. And if you look at the Kilkenny teams, they won the All-Ireland in 2000 after losing 98, 99, and 2001 they got beaten in an All-Ireland semi-final by Galway, and physically were bullied all over the field. And he brought in Martin Fogarty, and who's carried out the webinars that I'll send on to you as well, and Michael Dempsey from Laois, and he knew he needed to evolve and make the players more physical. He needed to make them faster. Kenny won the All-Ireland 2002, 2003, and didn't win it in 04 and 05. Cork were there, but then sort of evolved again, changed the whole setup in 2006, and obviously they went on and won 4 in a row, and won 2 in a row after that, and we won another 2 in a row in 14, 15, and look, obviously it's been quite a barren time between now, which is 21 and 15, but I still don't think we're too far away. I think apart from 1 year where I can't really put a finger on it, we were bang average at every game. It didn't look like we were actually ever going to take off, and unfortunately this year we had a bad second half against Waterford, but we won a Leinster title. There's always positives to take from every single year, and again this year he's involving again new strength and conditioning coaching, and Mickey Comfort is unbelievable. I have 2 of his programs that I'm going to send on to you as well, and also, you know, new selectors bringing in different ideas. So he's evolving the whole setup, but he still has the same, you know, core values. And it's just, you have to have a great spirit about things. You know, you have to want to play for Kilkenny, first of all, you know, and you get that opportunity by being very, very good with your club, driving your club on. You know, and being a winner, I suppose, overall, wanting to win. So, you know, it's purely infectious, and you know, that's the big thing. And I know I sort of had to long-winded, but he has evolved over the years. You know, he has changed his game setup, and you know, unfortunately, we haven't won, you know, enough things for him in the last 5 or 6 years. You know, good question, Johnny. To be fair, yeah, and I seen your daughter doing the wrist action in the back as well. So hopefully she keeps practicing the ground strikes as well. Great stuff.
I hope you're happy with that answer, Johnny. He was very diplomatic there, if I don't say so myself. He knew how to do it. We have Richie Finnegan up next with a question.
Just off mute there. Thanks, Eoin, for joining again, and I want to say thanks as well to Sandra for arranging this. It's brilliant to have a player of your caliber to be able to give tips, particularly to the younger generation here. And Saoirse here would like to ask a question. Do you want to ask her a question? Go to the camera. Are playing in goals or out the field?
Do you prefer playing in goals or out the field?
So the question was, do you prefer playing in goals or out the field?
Sorry, Richie, just the sound was poor. Apologies about that. Do you prefer playing in goals or out the field? I think out the field, because again, look, I think at heart I'm still a young person, and it's still, you know, you want to run around. And again, look, I was very lucky when I was underage playing. We were exposed to play every position available, so you know, be it from goal and the backs and everything. And you know, even in my adult career with Glenmore, I played in every position apart from cornerback, so played wing back, you know, every place. You know, and again, in the morning, if I had to turn out and you know, they to tell me, you know, you're playing in the goal, I'd absolutely love it, as you know, at the same time. And it's just that playing games. And you know, I sat on the bench a couple of years. I was lucky enough in my Kilkenny career, I only had 2 years on the bench, 2011, 2012, and started in 2013. And just when you're playing, you know, you just can't beat that ball. So, you know, and you know, I probably would prefer it out the field, because you can get involved and, you know, obviously a little bit more. But playing the goal is a little bit more specialised. I think mentally you have to be tuned in the whole time. You can't, you know, obviously you're the last line of defence, but you know, if a fullback misses a ball, the goalie is expected to be there. But if a goalie misses a ball, you know, there's no one behind him, unfortunately, and you know, it's you're a little bit more under the spotlight because you're on your own there. You know, and again, I've had to involve my mental game, I suppose, you know, to allow myself to perform in the goal then as well, you know, and stay in tune. So, but I would say out the field I would prefer. That's a great question. Saoirse, I think you mentioned, wasn't it? Yeah, great question.
Lorcan is next.
All right, we have Lorcan next with a question. Thanks for hanging in there, Eoin. You just tell
us. No hassle at all. Work away. No, there's no issue.
You're the one in lockdown, so you've all the time in the world, right?
It's raining outside, so I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry.
Okay, Lorcan, you're up.
Yeah, and thanks again, Eoin, for your time. And my question actually sort of builds off of what Saoirse just asked, in that, so you said you prefer to stay out in the field, and I think a lot of people would echo that. But so how would you suggest, like, sort of developing and convincing people that playing in goals is something worthwhile and something that can be fun to do?
I think again, it's exposing them to every position, and it's you know, making sure that they have the instincts to play every position. Because when you come to an adult level, and you know, maybe if there's injuries or there's not enough players there to, you know, to have a couple of subs, you'll have to play players in different positions. So I think exposing them from a young age, right when you get them at the nursery, you know, your under sixes, under eights, playing them every position, playing them in the goal. And I think from I don't want to sound too condescending, because I know there's a lot of kids and stuff here as well, but I think a good thing that you can actually use to get kids playing in goal is that, like, obviously during the match scenarios, they're getting to poke the ball an awful lot more. And it seems to be a good way because they're so involved in the game, you know, that you can say to them, you know, well, obviously they're a huge part of the game. Every player is. But I think when you explain to them, well, you get to poke the ball maybe 10, 15 times on your own during the first half here. No one tackling you. Poke it as long as you can, you know, and I think they get great enjoyment out of that. And, you know, and look, they'll appreciate an awful lot more when they go out the field then as well. But it's just, you know, teaching them, you know, and again, at a young age, you're teaching them, I suppose, the pressures of playing in goals. So they know exactly then that if they're out the field and maybe, God forbid, the goalie did make a mistake, that they've been in that situation. They know how tough it is then as well. So, you know, on the other side of it, that they're aware of the pressures of playing in goal. So, you know, they can be more understanding if something goes against the goalkeeper, you know, and they can be more encouraging then as well.
Yeah, Joe's next.
All right, great job. And we have Joe up next with a question. Joe, are you there? You'll have to unmute Joe before you ask the question.
He's from Galway. He might send the pigeon.
We'll move on to Dara there, if you're still there. Are you, Dara, in Wicklow? I know you have. I know you typed up a question. If you want to go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah. Yes, thanks very much, Sandra. Hi, Dara, formerly from Raleigh, back in Bray now in Wicklow. Stacey actually from Twin Cities asked my question. So the one about training, how it's developed. So I'll ask another one. It was a great answer, by the way. I really enjoyed the answer. It's been a great Q&A. But I have a question then. Have you tried any of the like synthetic hurls or what do you think of them? We've used them in America. We thought they were great. I did anyway.
Yeah. Look, it's again, you know, somebody will pick up my hurls and they might absolutely hate them. They might think they're planks, you know, and they just, you know, they don't like the fit of it in their hands. And I do genuinely believe, you know, there's a particular hurl for a particular type of person. You know, I'm actually not fussy about my hurls at all. As long as they're reasonably light, a tin handle that it can actually use the wrist action properly, you know, that's my preference. Regarding the synthetic hurls, I used it for puck outs for a number of years, and you get huge distance on them, absolutely. But I think the way the game has gone in the last number of years about retaining possession and, you know, maybe having to go short for, you know, a short puck out on 25 yards, and the next short puck out might go 40 yards, but the next half a dozen puck outs might go, you know, you're driving them 100, 120 yards, whatever it may be, as far as you can. So I just think, you know, it didn't fit the type of game that the way it went. You know, I personally like the feel of a timber hurl then as well. You know, that control when things are, you know, coming at you fast, and especially outfield then as well. You know, I use quite a small outfield hurl for the size of me in comparison to some people, and I just found that my touch, my you know, close control always got me out of sticky situations. I didn't feel I had that sort of connection with a synthetic hurl that allowed me to, you know, sort of get out of those tighter situations. You know, but absolutely fabulous strike on him, you know, wouldn't doubt it from that point of view. But I also think, you know, the conditions that you're playing in have to come into consideration as well. And, you know, we play in, if we're unlucky, you know, mid 20 degrees, I'd say, you know, unlucky if you're playing on that evening, you know, weather would be lovely. But, you know, when you're playing in maybe 30 degrees and, you know, and your hurls are being exposed to that day in, day out, you need to be careful how you look after them. And the synthetic hurl, I suppose, would be a lot easier to manage in those types of conditions as well. And then on the flip side of it, then I can't think of the lady's name in Minnesota, but, you know, if they're being exposed to minus whatever, you know, you need to mind them, to be honest. And yeah, So you just, it depends on the environment, but for me, they're not for me, to be honest, you know.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we have Joe up next for a question.
Hello, Owen. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us here this evening. The pigeon got here. Yeah, just another reference. I'm from Galway as well, and was it final like you made it sort of moment, winning your first All-Ireland?
Sorry, apologies, Joe. I'm losing connection. I'm not too sure if it's me. The sound is coming in and out.
What was it like winning your first All-Ireland?
What was it like winning my first All-Ireland? I think that I know you were talking before that. Sorry,
yes.
Just the sound was coming and going. Apologies there, but yeah, in 2011, when I was a sub, we won our first medal there. So I suppose winning my first All-Ireland with Kilkenny would have been 2008. We were minor, and you know, again, you just think that this is the best thing ever. We were young lads. Kilkenny were playing a senior All-Ireland against Waterford, you know, the year after that, and it just, you know, when we were minor at that time, which was under 18, you know, the place was huge, and the senior players were mountain men, like, you know, there were these massive men, they were giants. So like, I don't think I appreciated at that time. I think I nearly got caught up in the whole thing, the size of Croke Park and the huge crowd that was there. And I think I only really fully appreciated it in 2014. It was my first one playing. You know, so it was after replay, we beat Tipperary. But you know, probably the way the whole year went, I got injured and didn't make it back in for a couple of games. Wasn't playing good enough in training and things like that. So I wouldn't say I got dropped. Sorry, I wouldn't say that I was dropped because of injury. I was purely dropped because of form, not playing well. So I didn't play the Leinster final, didn't play the All-Ireland semi-final. And just the way that, you know, the whole build up to the All-Ireland then, and I actually, you know, the Friday night going out before training, and Brian called me over, and we spoke a couple of times, you know, in the weeks building up to it, but you never got the idea that you'd play. The fact that I didn't play the semi-final or Leinster final. So and he just said, listen, you're playing, you know, out of your skin, and we want you, how would you feel about playing in the goal on Sunday? And, you know, jaw dropped, and you know, and it probably came around so quick that I didn't even get time to think about the All-Ireland. I was so excited, and, you know, drew that was the Hawkeye All-Ireland. That's what they refer to it as. And, you know, and then, you know, obviously winning the replay, it was just, yeah, it was only then I fully appreciated, and, you know, I got to embrace it with my mum and dad after the game pretty soon afterwards. And it was just, yeah, it was really, really special. And, you know, it was just, it was pure elation, really. And, yes, it's hard to explain, you know, and probably only felt that type of pure joy a couple of times. And I think after we won the couple of medals, the junior county medal with the club, and, you know, the junior club All-Ireland in Croke Park, then again, you don't have the crowd, but, you know, that actual feeling when that final whistle goes, and, you know, you can nearly feel your heart sort of slip out of your chest, out your mouth, like you just don't know what to do. And it's hard to explain, but just pure elation, really, pure elation, to be honest. And yeah, but, you know, I feel that with the club as well, and we've had a couple of near misses with the club, and, you know, the downside is you have to, you know, sometimes you have to have the bad days to have the good days, and, you know, hopefully we've had you know, the bad days out of the way the last couple of years, and we can have a good one this year.
Great, Owen, thank you so much. Jake, are you there? You're up next.
Yeah. Hi, from the Montreal Shamrocks up in Canada. I just wanted to ask you, what qualities did you mostly appreciate from any coach you've had in the past?
Qualities. Wow, it's a tough one. like we probably, you know, when I was first really exposed to like really high quality training and high quality team coaching and then individual coaching would have been in 2009 and 2010, I think it was. Would have been Tommy Shefflin. Tommy Shefflin is a brother of Henry Shefflin. He coached us in the club, and you know, he gave me a real responsibility in the team, and you know, I think he made me vice captain. Would have been quite young at the time, 19 or whatever, and you know, playing me centre forward in sort of a central position, and you know, and just the things that he would have been conversing in me after, you know, matches, after training, he'd give you the call, and I know he was doing that with other players as well, and it was just that, you know, that belief in you, I think, you know, was, yeah, and it just really sort of kicked me on to the next step, that belief that I actually could make it at the next level. And, you know, I remember the 2010 summer really, really well, playing under 21. We got beaten in the Leinster final, and I got a phone call. I was out having one or two beverages with Colin Fenley, and Colin got a phone call about going to America to hurl for the summer, and he said, listen, hold on, and he was, you know, I have somebody else here who'd be interested in going, and I spoke to him, and, you know, they were going to put you up and look after you, and you get a summer in the sun, you know, and it's probably every young lad's dream. You think, now my dream is to play with Kilkenny, so the first thing I done was actually I rang Tommy Shefflin, and I said it to him, and I was like, look, you know, I have this offer in front of me, and he said it to me, he goes, listen, he's like, you're playing at a level now that I believe if you keep playing at that level with the club, you'll get an invite into the Kilkenny team. And, you know, he was right. At the end of that year, I did. And, you know, just that belief in me and, you know, that trust in, you know, and that sort of senior role, even at that young age. Yeah, I you know, in depth to him, to be honest, you know, for someone. And I always speak really, really highly of him. He's coaching the Kilkenny Camogie team who won the All-Ireland last year as well. And, you know, that whole team is all the hallmarks of Tommy, just very, very organised, and you know, he's a really likable man then as well. And yeah, just I think he pushed me onto that next level by just, you know, giving me responsibility, believing in me, and telling me I was good enough as well, which I think is hugely important for kids, you know, telling them what they're doing well rather than correcting the mistakes and things like that. They do need to be corrected, obviously, to pick up the you know, the proper skills, but then also giving them that confidence that they need to keep going, keep pushing on to the next level. So great question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Leon and Emmy.
All right, we have Leon and Emmy O'Dell. Are you all right, Owen, to keep going for another few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. No hassle.
That's great. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, we don't see Leon, and so we'll just move on to Kieran if you're still there, Kieran.
Hello. Hello, Kieran from Afghanistan, part of Germany actually. And I'm in Chapel Hill and giving a shout out to all the old dogs here. Do you remember this jersey that you took to your nationals run? There we go, the original turn and oh, that's for you, Dara. A question, you know the legends of Henry Shefflin anyway, the 400 pucks against the wall every day. So could you just talk about wall training a bit? Like, what's a good daily wall training amount ratio? That's what I've grown up hearing. Like, I've been reared here in Henry Shefflin, 400. In your world, wall training, how does that suit your kind of maintenance or your just practice?
Yeah, so you don't need a group of 2, 3, you know, people to actually practice the skills. And, you know, as I mentioned, you know, her and a ball and a wall, and we were very lucky at home. We had a big gable end. I don't know if her dad planned it or not, you know, but he stupidly enough put 2 big windows either side of that in the middle of the gable end as well. And believe me, they were broke more times. So, but we constantly now, and like honestly, I can't emphasize this enough. It was every single day. We went out, we got up, had like scoffed whatever was for breakfast into us, and you know, ran out with the school bag, and you could see the bus coming down the road, and so we were there pucking at the gable end, and you know, you get in 5 pucks and you peep around the corner, and you know, you get in another 5 pucks, and that was, you know, 7:45 in the morning before we went to school. The hurls were brought with us to school. We did the exact same thing at, small break, as we refer to it as like our tea or something like that. So it's like 15 minutes. So we went out and we played games. So it's that constant, having the hurl in the hands, having the feel of the ball. But then, it was the striking, the left and the right, and the ball is coming back, and it's that control and action. Like all of that you can incorporate into training, bring it into match scenarios as well. And all those skills are really, really important. So yeah, just even for any of the younger kids here, just can't emphasize enough. Like there's no, like I'm by no means a prodigy at all. Like I did not make any Kilkenny teams at under 14, under 15, under 16, was never considered good enough, and probably wouldn't have even been in the top 5, top 6 players in my club. But every single day, and I was brutal. I'd say my parents' head was wrecked. And I remember during the summer, and they'd be bright till 10 o'clock, and we're outside pucking, and my mum would be shouting at you to come in because you're keeping the neighbours up then as well with, the banging of the ball off the wall. But, we didn't care. We just absolutely loved it. And but it was just constant pucking. And, obviously it's a little bit more difficult now, but as soon as, the weather gets bright, I know every evening, unfortunately, I have to work now. That's, as an adult or whatever, it's a pity, but, I can't get the puck all day. But, I'll come home, and even before I go training, so, I'll whip off my suit or whatever, work clothes, and I'll throw on a pair of shorts, and I'll go out and I'll puck the ball before I get some food before I go training. And then we're pucking, I try to get out in the field 1 hour before training. So I know if we're there at 7 o'clock, I'll try to get there at 5:30. I'll have my rehab work done, I'll have, my glute activation, all that sort of small stuff out of the way, like, and that's, everybody's doing that, do you know what I mean? But then it's just that pucking. You're outside and you're drilling the ball high, low, catching it, and it's making it hard on the next guy. But that pucking, that constant thing is just, that's what we're doing. But it's just, you have to do that every day. Like genuinely have to do that every day. To progress on and to get better, and for the kids then that want to go to the next level, want to play adult level, want to go to play intercounty, that's what you have to do. And again, we love it, absolutely love it, so but that thing that's true, like the Henry Sheffield thing is true. And if you thought you were there early, an hour and 15 minutes before training session, Henry was there before you. He was, he was there, he was tugged out, and he was running out into the field taking frees. And he probably hit maybe 50, 60 frees, from standing positions, and then would hit another 50, 60, running, striking over the bar. And that's why he was the best. And, he done everything to put himself in that position. He didn't leave anything to chance or, to luck or whatever it was. He was so skillful, and he obviously had that work ethic as well. That helps massively. It obviously does, but he was just phenomenal in terms of his approach to everything.
Right, so try Ricky. We'll try Ricky again. Are you there, Ricky?
You want it going, so I don't see it at all.
Hi, Eoin, how are you?
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Just a quick question on the yellow slitter one. I think you were against it initially at the start.
Yeah.
But do you find a major difference with it?
In terms of the whole feel of the slitter, the quality of it, it's exactly the same. My biggest worry was we were over in New York in City Fields playing the Aer Lingus 11s or whatever the name of the competition was. And the slitters we used that day were yellow ones. They had the chips in them, to measure the speed of the ball and everything like that. And they were like rocks. I went through half a dozen hurls, broke half a dozen of my best hurls, and it was raging. So I was like, well, I'll be effective for, going through a whole championship, and I'm going to go through 6 of my best hurls every single game by pucking balls. Like, so yeah, I wasn't too impressed with it. But just to comment on it, and I know it said the viewing makes it easier for, the viewers on telly and whoever is logged in and streaming it or whatever, it makes it easier for them to view. But, the yellow slitter, it's actually really hard. Like the lights, and as soon as it went into the anywhere near a floodlight, it was very difficult to actually follow. So I was quite lucky there wasn't any directly coming, from a spotlight or a floodlight, because even in Crow Park there is there is those blind spots as well where the sliotar goes into. So it's very, very lucky there. But no, they were the exact same. I'm a traditionalist, as you probably seen from my other answer then as well about the synthetic hurls. So yeah, I like to leave things where they are. Use your ash hurls, white sliotar. I'm happy enough.
Ronan.
Great. The last question then, I think, is from Ronan. Ronan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you, Ronan?
How you doing, Owen? Not too bad. From Donegal here, myself.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
We're having trouble hearing you, Ronan, there. Are
Here a wee
you?
bit.
Yeah, do you want to try that again?
Yeah. Oh, okay, Owen, you can hear me, yeah?
I can, yeah.
My question to you is, it's just in the game scenario, when puckouts are going well, and next minute you have one or two puckouts that don't go too well, and then next minute a bit of frustration kicks in. It's just advice to a young goalkeeper when that happens. Is there a, is there a place you go or do or something, say, right, let's get this back on track, sort of thing? Just on puckouts,
I suppose you could lead that on to, I suppose, any point throughout the game then as well, not just even on puckouts. And certainly even for younger goalkeepers, I wouldn't be putting too much emphasis on, puckout plans and different things like that, maybe overcomplicating things. But, if a puckout does go wrong, it's what I found now is that, maybe that comes with experience, but, I feel if make the mistake, I might just sort of slap the botch of the hurl off my hand, and that's just sort of a reset thing for me. But again, I sort of had to learn that, so it will come with experience. And if the younger players, just tell them not to be forcing it, and hurling is a very natural game. Once you have all the skills and you do all the training and the coaching and everything like that, it is quite natural. And people can overcomplicate it as well. It's very simple, so obviously, you just, you need to make it easier for especially the underage players. And again, that overcomplication for it might put that bit more pressure on it, and maybe they won't have as much enjoyment on it as well. But the whole thing about getting used to, I suppose, maybe making that mistake, well, certainly that will come with experience, and it's all back to, I suppose, exposing them to other positions as well, and knowing that an outfield player will make 6 to 8 mistakes in a game at the very least, I'd say. And nobody notices that, like. So it's just about the next positive thing then as well. It's you should remind that player that they've done something really positive, again, building them back up rather than focusing on the negative, so it's very important not to leave that mistake become a second mistake then as well, so just to get them reset, and I suppose playing in goal, it's very important that you're focused non-stop. So as soon as the ball is thrown in, and they're not not thinking about something that happened, because then a ball will come in, it's in the net before you know it, and you have to pick it out again. So what I find really, really helpful there, and I discussed it in the webinar with Martin Fogarty, is I'm actually commentating nearly on the game to myself as it's happening. So even as it's on the other side of the field. So if you can imagine number 5 in the opposition field, he's going to be over on the 45, and if he's a right-handed player, and we'll take we'll say Caleb Lyons for Waterford, number 5. So he's a right-handed player, and if he's going to be striking coming out on his own, I'm talking where I think the ball is going, and that's just keeping me really focused for maybe a break or whatever. So those techniques, I hope hope that helps. But regarding the mistake, that will come with experience, and it's just not to leave them dwell on it too much.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, if there's any other questions, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, Eoin, did you say you had something that you wanted to mention at the end here?
Yeah. Look, I'll share the screen again here, and we have. So what I'm going to send to you, Sandra, so you can see that here, can you? Can you see that, Sandra?
I can't zoom in or anything, Eoin, but I can see it. Yeah.
I'll do that for you here. Absolutely perfect. So this is just some of the programs that we do, sort of a prehab program to get players ready. So again, look, Sandra, I will send this on to you. Everything is hyperlinked as well. Is that okay? So once this is sent down a PDF, if you're forwarding it onto in an email, so that email can be sent, through to the WhatsApp. So every player as part of these teams can have these. So this is just going to get everybody ready, for when we can go back and play and onto the field. So they're not going to be breaking down with injuries. Once they click on it, as I mentioned, it's hyperlinked. Every exercise is hyperlinked. So it'll bring you to a little video on YouTube if they're not familiar with it. Okay, so this should be carried out, obviously, 3 times per week. So you're going to work out at, doing 20 reps. So obviously a goblet squat, if you have a dumbbell weight or whatever it is, if you have access to those or any type of a weight, you'll be doing that for 20 reps controlled. So that's for 1 week. You'll be doing this workout for your Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for argument's sake. The following week, what you'll want to do is increase the weight. So it'll be 1 by 15 reps. And on the 3rd week, then it's going to be 1 by 10 reps, increasing the weight as well. So if you have access, you can get creative as well. So as we've had to do with different things. And again, on the week 2, the workout after everything is done here is your front squat, different things like that. Again, look, might be a little bit difficult to get access to some of these. So you can be creative. So instead of the front squat, you can do the goblet squat above. They're all hyperlinked. So the next one that we have is the in-season program. So again, it gives you a pre-workout, so it's a warm-up, exactly what you need to do. These are all hyperlinked, so you can go into YouTube on these. This is the program that I would have been sent a couple of weeks ago. So the front squat, just one thing to be wary of, the reps in reserve basically is you don't want to be going max out. You want to be doing it in comfort. Okay, so the reps in reserve is that if you feel you have at least 3 reps in reserve, if you have to go lift that again. So I'll send both of those to you, Sandra. Is that okay? They're all hyperlinked. If there's any questions at all, look, maybe send them on my email or whatever the case may be. But it's pretty much self-explanatory. Is that okay?
That's great, Eoin. That's brilliant. Is there? I just wanted to see if anybody else had a question. So my brother Mark just got on there. Mark, do you have a question for Eoin?
He's late.
He's late to the party. He is. All right. So yeah, and we have a spot prize, I think. So we want to. I think there's. Let me see how many's left on there. I think we have 35, and we're just going to draw a number, and then whatever name is associated with that number, then we'll go ahead and give that prize to whomever. Okay, so
all right,
here we go.
We're generating the number from 1 to 20. Right, number 27, and that is Ricky.
Ricky, wherever you are, you just won yourself a little prize. We'll get your information from you, or from your details, and we'll be sending something to you. If you're still there, Ricky.
Yeah, thanks, William. Cheers.
Yeah, well done.
Well done, Ricky. And on that note now, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for joining us. This was absolutely brilliant. It's more than what we expected, I believe. Eoin, thank you for staying on as long as you did. I just want to say thanks to everyone again for joining. I want to wish you the best of luck, Eoin, in your championship matches this year with the league, with Kilkenny, with the club. You know, we'll all be watching you now. You have big fans over here now, I think. And you'll always be welcome in Raleigh, by the way. So whenever you want to make a visit or, you know, bring any of your teammates with you, you'd always be welcome here as well.
You might regret saying that.
And and also all those links that Eoin was talking about, we'll be sending out an email after the meeting to everybody, and I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Sandra.
And also, for anyone that is on the call from anywhere else in the United States, you know, you're always welcome here as well. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks, Sandra.
And take care.
Yes, everyone. Thanks. Take care.
Bye. Thanks a million, Eoin.
Thanks, guys. Up Wicklow.